Real quick before you actually jump into this, I just gotta say, and this is some behind the scenes gold. I'm not taking this out of the show. If anybody hasn't ever had Tampico, or if anybody that works for Tampico happens to be listening to this show, this is an amazing product. Like this Tampico juice is the best. And if I could somehow get sponsored by Tampico, I greatly appreciate it. Anyway, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Go Talk with Marcus, powered by Podex, fueled by GoFuel. I do want to give a disclaimer. It is 12:53. Game 6 of the Warriors Grizzlies series ended 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
It's 12:53 here, obviously on the East Coast, 9:53 in the West Coast. So for Spencer, this is light work. For me, not so much. This is also the second time in the show's history that I've recorded a show around this time. And would you know, the last time I did it was with this bonehead here. What's up, Spencer? How you doing, man?
What's up? Thanks for having me. It's a great day.
Oh, well. Of course it's a great day. I bet it is. I bet. Let's talk about it, right? Warriors get the job done against the Grizzlies in 6. The title of the episode was intentional. It was very easy. Whoop that trick. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Let's start by talking about the big one. Obviously, we have to play the what if game here because that's what people are going to do. Ja Morant misses the rest of the series because of the knee injury. In your most unbiased, unprofessional opinion, do you think the Grizzlies potentially win or force this game series to go to 7 if Ja's doesn't miss 3 games because of the knee?
It's kind of tough for me to say because defensively they're a terrible team with Ja on the floor. But obviously offensively, I think they at least have it closer today. You keep it closer because you have a closer. Dylan Brooks is not a closer. Jaren Jackson's not a closer. Desmond Bane, I think he was just completely gassed. You could tell he was gassed tonight. I think it still goes 6. The Warriors to pick apart Ja on defense. They signaled him out on every single cut. You go back and look at the 3 games that Ja played, and almost every open cut was due to Ja just falling asleep. And you can't do that against the Warriors. They're going to make you pay. So I think it still goes 6. He's one of the best players in the league now. You can tell, like, he is just a flat-out superstar. And he's a closer. That's exactly what they needed tonight, too.
He is as advertised. So the one thing I want to talk about is the Grizzlies' record without Ja Morant, because that was the big thing after he got hurt. Was, the Grizzlies were 21-5 or so without something like that. Let's just, if we just very quickly run down those games, right? It won't take too long. But okay, so they win. They beat Sacramento, not a playoff team. They beat the Raptors, that's a playoff team. They beat OKC, not a playoff team. They beat Dallas, and I don't think Luka played in that game when they beat Dallas, but they beat Dallas. They beat Miami. I don't think Bam Adebayo played in that game. They lose to Dallas. They beat LA, not a playoff team. Houston, not a playoff team. They beat Philly. They beat Portland, not a playoff team, against Sacramento. They end up losing to Portland. The Clippers, who haven't had Kawhi and didn't have Paul George in that game. They beat the Pelicans. Okay. They beat Indiana, not a playoff team. Houston, Brooklyn without KD, Indiana again, Milwaukee. And I don't think Giannis played in that game. They beat Golden State, and there was no Clay in that game. There was no Steph in that
Clay,
game.
Jordan
Sure there was
Poole, or maybe Jordan Poole. Basically, everyone was out. It was
the
G
big
League
3
team.
was out. Yeah, it was. Yeah. That was not the Warriors that they saw in this series. They beat San Antonio, not a play-in team. They beat the Suns, and I don't think Chris Paul played in that game on April Fool's Day. And then the last 2.
No, I think it was the full roster, because I remember them saying
it
was a big deal.
It might have. That was. They did play the full roster, and then the last 3 games they played without Ja before the playoffs. They lost to Utah, Denver, Boston, all of which were playoff teams. So that's important because they went 21-5, but who they beat? They didn't really beat a lot of good teams, great teams at full strength.
It's the context that matters.
Exactly, and it's taken away from the Grizzlies because this has been a tremendous season for the Grizzlies. Obviously, at this point, I don't like to use this phrase, but I mean, it's a phrase that I think they're ahead of schedule. I don't think you look at this Grizzlies team and think that this is a team that would have been competing potentially for a championship the way that they were possibly competing for a championship this season. I will say this though, and I said this after they got past the Timberwolves, and I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it until people understand they should not have gotten past the Timberwolves. They should have been eliminated in the first round. They made a lot of mistakes. And again, it's a young team, so you can't really hold it against them. But they made a lot of mistakes in that first round. And Minnesota made just as many mistakes. But the difference is Minnesota made more mistakes when it really, really mattered. And that's why the Grizzlies made it on. Again, they won the series. They won the series, taking nothing away from them. But this is a very young team. I love Ja. I was talking with Steezy on the episode about the Heat and the Sixers, kind of on the tail end of that, about Ja's superstar status. I can't get mad at you for saying that Ja's a superstar. It's not a crazy take. I think there is one exception to this general. I tend to think that you have to kind of be a certain age or have done enough to be a superstar. The one guy that kind of is the exception to that rule, because always one exception is Luka, because Luka's like 23, but he is phenomenal. Ja's a superstar talent. He did have a fantastic season this season. And I'm not saying that he is not a superstar on the cusp of superstardom, but undeniably next season, if he does next season what he did this season, you cannot deny his status as a superstar in the NBA. Let's talk about your Warriors, specifically Draymond Green, because Draymond Green is always has something to say, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's Draymond Green. That's who he is. The post-game presser after Game 5, when he's talking about how if they're gonna whoop that trick, we'll whoop that trick with him. Like, wasn't that just great? Like, wasn't it just great to just see Draymond just be like, I don't care. Like, yeah, let's whoop that trick. Like, I enjoyed watching Draymond and Steph kind of dance with the crowd at the end of Game 5 during the blowout. That was a terrible game, by the way. Terrible. Probably
I
the
watched,
worst game in the Steph, Clay, Dre era. And going at least
yeah,
game that was
easily.
disgustingly bad.
Like I don't think I've ever seen in the playoffs, let alone like in the regular season. Regular season, it happens. The playoffs, you're gonna lose by 39, 55 at
And
one
be
point.
down by 55 at one point.
Yeah.
That's
as a Warriors fan, it was not great to see Draymond so nonchalant about a loss like that. But like throughout this whole series, like he was terrible. Let's be honest, like he was terrible.
Oh yeah. Couldn't have played worse.
Yeah, he showed up in Game 6. I mean, 14, 5, and 8. Even though he was 6 of 14 with 4 turnovers, he was aggressive, and that's all we ask of him. We don't want him to be, Game 7 Draymond in 2016, where he has like 35 points and like 10 threes, whatever. We don't need that.
That was probably the best game.
That was peak Draymond. We don't need that anymore.
Getting that again. We're never getting that out of Draymond.
Never. But we just need him to keep the defense honest. Drive when it's open. Cut when he has a nice look at the basket. Put some pressure so they at least bite at something. Because you can't just stay on top of the key and have your defender all the way in the paint, stopping any cuts from happening. And you saw it the other night. At the end of the game, it finally clicked. The Warriors stopped rushing, and they played slow. They stopped turning the ball over. That was the difference. I mean, the threes started falling. It was great. I fucking loved it.
Not exactly sure what's wrong with my eye, but no, yeah, that's true. So it's interesting you say, because the Grizzlies are young and they like to play fast, and the Warriors typically push the pace a little bit. They looked so discombobulated in Game 5, though. It was insane. Like, I mean, it wasn't just sloppy defense; it was sloppy offense. At just so many unforced errors and so many unforced turnovers and just sloppy defensively with all the fouls. It was really insane. So obviously we always do the thing, well, maybe they were just throwing Game 5 to get the win at home in Game 6. And you can say that, but I'm not going to say that because they looked terrible in Game 5. You look at the Warriors, and if I'm not mistaken, if my memory serves me correctly, the Warriors have lost 2 playoff series in the Steph, Clay, Dre era. Both of those playoff series are finals, in the 2016 finals and the 2019 finals. And you can make a legitimate argument that if KD and Clay aren't hurt, they would have only lost one playoff series up to this point. I know we've talked about it once before, but the closer we get to it, the more I think it's worth discussing, right? It's the same nucleus. They missed the playoffs the last 2 years because of injury and things like that. They're now back in the Western Conference Finals as if they never left. Like, their first time actually back in the playoffs, it's like, oh yeah, well, we're back here. Yeah, we're going to go back to running the Western Conference, which wouldn't be surprised at all. If they make it to the finals, and again, that's a ways away. But if we're just projecting a little bit, if they make it to the finals, they potentially win, and we'll have this conversation at least 2 more times. Do you consider that to be a part of the dynasty from before? Because as I always mention, we look at the Chicago Bulls, the 6 championships in 9 years, as one whole dynastic thing, even though MJ left for 3 years and then came back and they won 3 more. Does that logic still apply with the Warriors here?
I think if you win multiple in the second part, yeah, it counts. But if you win just one, it's kind of hard to like mush it all together because those 2 seasons were really bad. Like
Those
let's
2
not beat
seasons
around
were
the bush.
disgustingly bad. Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, obviously last season you made the play-in. You were the 8th seed technically. You couldn't win the play-in games, but you still just the entire season just wasn't good. So I think it's hard to say like it's a full dynasty with those 2 blemishes. I think if you win another one the season after, maybe you go for 3. You could argue it, but
yeah.
So I can't put them together right now.
I seriously have no idea what's going on. Sorry, people, for the Marama. I don't know what's going on. Let me ask you this, and I want your honest opinion, because I was talking about this with Steezy at the end of our show against the Heat. We kind of dragged on again to something else. 150th episode, by the way, that episode. Please go listen to it. This is 151. 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, right? 4 straight finals appearances, obviously 2019, but let's talk about the Warriors Cavs thing just for one hot second, okay? Because I have said, and I will die on this hill, as much as people, mostly Warriors fans and Draymond, spearheaded by Draymond Green, Draymond Green being suspended in the finals in 2016 means nothing to me because he missed 1 game and the Cavs won 3 straight. And you cannot convince me that Draymond being there would have kept LeBron and Kyrie from dropping 80 points together in that game. So I don't want to hear anything about that. That final series would have happened the exact same way if Draymond was there, I think. 2015, though, is the interesting one. Because the Cavs were dealing with injury. And I am of the belief that if the Cavs weren't dealing with injury, they would have won that championship too. I think that would have probably went to 7-2. Like, it's a toss-up. I don't want to say it's 100%, but I do think the Cavs were going into it maybe a little bit better. So, Kevin Durant arrives in 2017. Jeez, dude. I don't know what's going on. 2017, coming off of the 73-9 season. Do you honestly believe if anybody that wasn't Kevin Durant would have joined that Warriors team coming out of the 73-9 season, do you still think of course you do, but like honestly, do you still think the Warriors win the chip in 2017 if like a guy that at that time you say was ranked 6 to 10 and not the second best player or the third best player in the world at the time joins that team? Do you think the Warriors still win the championship in 2017?
I mean, let's go back to 2016 real quick. Harrison Barnes was god awful. Okay, let's get one thing straight.
He was terrible, yeah.
He was terrible, okay? I mean, I will be honest, like Harrison Barnes is a hell of a player. I still really like Harrison for his time in Golden State because he was really good the year before.
He was.
2016, he just wasn't good enough. He could not hit a single shot.
It was not good. It wasn't good at all.
But I mean, even if we, for some reason, signed Harrison Barnes to a max contract, like the Mavs did,
that was.
I think we still could have won 1 championship. I don't think we would have won 2. You can't tell me can't sit there and tell me we would have won 2. We would have won 1.
So that's interesting. So then, which one is it? 17 or is it 18? Because I'm of the belief that the reason why 17 worked so well is because there's not a guy on the planet in 2017 that you would have been able to just plug and play, which is what Kevin Durant was. Like Kevin Durant was the plug and play. He didn't have to change anything about himself. Kevin Durant still got to be Kevin Durant on that team. There weren't really a lot of sacrifices he had to make as far as altering his play style. The way we see when you usually see a superstar team with other superstars, something has to give. Like when Kobe and Shaq teamed, or when they didn't really team up, but like with Kobe and Shaq and with LeBron and D-Wade and LeBron and Kyrie, KD and Hart and so forth and so on. Like someone has to, one or both of those 2 guys has to give up something in order for it to work. And it's usually why for the first year a super team doesn't work.
Yeah.
Except for the Warriors, because it worked, because KD was the ultimate plug and play. He can move without the ball and all that great stuff. So you say they would win one, not both of them. Do they win 17 or do they win the 18? Because I think they would have won the 18 championship without KD, because that team at that point for Cleveland was just so bad, because it was like LeBron and like a high school JV basketball team, or like Sac State's intramural basketball team. Like there was nobody on that roster,
No, kidding.
and there was nobody on that roster with any type of experience as far as deep playoff runs, especially championship experience in Cleveland. So which one would you say the if KD's not there, the Warriors win? Is it 17 or is it 18?
I mean, looking back at both of them are really bad for the Cavs.
Oh, yeah. Well, I
I
think in
mean,
17 in 2017 they did still have Kyrie, which is why I'm more inclined to think that the 18 one is a lock. Because
yeah, yeah, I would say
even
18.
without KD, they used to have Steph, Clay, and Dre, who were three of the top five players on the court, and quite frankly, the Warriors would have four of the best five players on the court, because LeBron had no help in 2018 whatsoever on that run.
Yeah, I mean, well, wasn't 2017 was when they blew up the entire team mid-season, right?
They blew up the entire team in 2018. They made a whole bunch of trades before the season, and they traded everybody else away. Actually, they blew up the team twice. The only difference is Kyrie was still there in 2017, and he wasn't there in 2018.
Right. Oh, okay, yeah, I was looking. Yeah. Yeah, it'd be 2017. I was looking at 2018, 2019. I was like confused. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
no,
the 20.
it's for sure.
So
It's
the
for sure. Yeah,
so the
yeah, I know
second
what you
one,
mean. Yeah,
the second one is okay.
yeah.
That's fair. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So let's. I love watching Golden State play basketball. I feel like
When they play the way they're supposed to, yeah, it's fun.
yeah, like when they play how they like you there is not a better team in the league today that is better at moving the ball, moving without the ball, communicating on offense, like understanding where everything's supposed to be. Like it's crazy because you look at like Chris Paul and LeBron James. Like those are the two guys that bar none, and Draymond Green. I think those are the three guys that have the highest basketball IQ in the league today.
Yeah.
Draymond, LeBron, and Chris Paul. The Warriors as a whole, though, like even the young guys, like even Wiggins and Kuminga and Moody, and especially Jordan Poole with what he's done this season, like the basketball IQ of the entire Warriors roster is just phenomenal. And it also helped that we got Game 6 Clay tonight, which was a great thing to see. I wonder though, and it's not it's at I mean it's the Warriors, and when the Warriors are at their best, they're basically unbeaten when it comes to getting to the finals. Do the Suns or the Mavs pose a bigger threat as far as, and I know that seems like a stupid question to ask, but when you look at what Chris Paul and Devin Booker have looked like over the last couple of games of the series, and then how great not just Luka has been, but the Mavs as a team has been over the last couple of games in that series, like which team poses a bigger threat as far as the Warriors making it to the finals? Because I mean, obviously you'd want to say the Suns, but do the Mavs not give you cause for pause just because of how well they've played through almost two rounds of the playoffs, potentially? And I have them winning Game 7, potentially winning Game 7 and moving on.
So with the Mavs, they actually were a pretty good matchup for us. Meaning they were difficult to beat. I think the Mavs are scarier to me because Luca is so volatile, and it's not like he's a guy that gets triple doubles, but they mean something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
Russell
definitely
Westbrook got a lot of meaningless triple doubles. He
not.
didn't. His passes didn't always affect the game or impact in the way that I think a lot of people thought they did.
Mm-hmm.
Luca is a great playmaker. There's
100%.
guys that just pass for assists, and there's guys that pass and move the ball. Luca passes for assists and moves the ball. He's phenomenal at that.
Yeah.
And the Warriors just don't have a defender against him. Uh, we need Gary Payton back if that's the case, because we need to throw Gary Payton and Andrew Wiggins at him to kind of give him different looks.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think the Warriors match up quite well against the Suns. Very similar rosters. We have really good point guards, really good shooting guards. Bench is really strong. Just a really smart. Both teams are very smart. Steve Kerr, I mean, as much as I don't like him at times, he's a good coach. But Monty Williams is upper echelon of coaches, I would say.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think
So,
Monty.
but you,
I mean, not. I think it's proven. Monty Williams is the best coach in
yeah,
basketball today. Yeah.
and I think I mean, I don't want to sound like crazy because like this is recency bias, but Looney has been so damn good for the Warriors this season, all season long.
Oh, but
Just
overall he sucks, so it's fine. No, he doesn't suck, but he hasn't been the most reliable overall, and you know that. Like you know,
no,
Looney has
he
not been
last season he was
one of
not
the
that
more
good.
reliable guys. He
But
has
I
had a
will
good
say,
season though. He has had a good season, and he's been
I think
okay in his time in the playoffs.
yeah, I agree. But I think it's because last season you're dealing with a new kid coming in, James Wiseman, and you
Yeah,
don't know if you're going to keep your job.
yeah, yeah.
If Wiseman is healthy, Looney doesn't play, right? Warriors use one big.
Oh,
They
100
don't
percent,
need they don't need
100%.
another big, so they would just get rid of him, or he would just sit on the bench. But
Yeah,
Wiseman's not going to grab you 21 boards in a game six.
yeah.
And I just with Looney, I mean, he's not going to score. He's not going to play the best defense, but man, he's going to fight his ass off to get you that board. And that's exactly what we needed. We don't need some guy that's going to score us 20 points as big, but I got off track.
No, you're good. You're good. And this is not recency bias. I'm just looking at what we saw in this season because the Warriors played both teams 4 times. I think the Mavericks are the bigger issue.
I
The
agree.
Warriors, the
I agree.
Warriors against the Finals this season, they split the series. Um, they each won one at home and one on the road. Let's see. Back in November on November 30th, Suns won 104-96. The Warriors won the follow-up game,
One
118
of the
to
games
90.
didn't have Devin Booker though.
One of those games didn't have Devin Booker. I think it might have been the Christmas game. The game on
I
Christmas.
think
That was
that's the one who hurt his hamstring.
Yeah, because that was the big one. Because everyone was like, "Oh, can Steph Curry win a game on Christmas?" And then he wins it. Well, not win a game. Can he have a good Christmas game? And he had a
Yeah.
good Christmas
Yeah.
game that game. And then
There was another
the last
one.
time was 107 against 103.
I believe one of them the Warriors didn't have everyone. Maybe no Clay, no Steph, or no Drake. One of them was out.
The one on the 30th, there was. I know that was the one there was no Clay. November 30th, there was no Clay for sure in that one. I think there was also at least no Steph or Dre in that game.
Yeah.
And the Suns won that one. But the game against the Mavericks, though, the Mavericks beat the Warriors 3-1 this season in the season series. Mavericks won January 5th, 99-82. The Warriors got their win back at home on the 25th of January, 130-92. And then the Mavericks won the next 2 games on February 27th and March 3rd, 107-101 and 122-113. I think the reason why the Mavs are the bigger issue is the same reason why the Rockets pose an issue to the Warriors back when it was just James Harden. Is because the style of play is exactly the same. Like it's when you look at the Mavs, it's all ISO ball. The one difference though is this supporting cast in Dallas much better than the supporting cast in Houston before Chris Paul gets there. The one nod you give to Houston, obviously, is that they had Clint Capella, who is a reliable big, who can give you boards, who can be a defensive presence, and can still give you 20, 22 points a night, right? The Dallas doesn't, you're not really going to get 20 and 20 from Maxi Kleber. You're definitely not going to get 20 and 20 from Boban Marjanovic. So that's the one thing where I look at and I say, yikes. But the Warriors don't really have a big anyway. Like the Warriors are a generally small team. So I think because of that, just looking back on that, the Warriors have always kind of been on eggshells against teams that ISO heavy. I like the Mavericks, but then again, it's like I said, the Mavericks, the team, like the best thing that could have happened for the Mavericks this postseason was Luka Doncic missing the first 3 games of that first round series because Jalen Brunson got to find his rhythm, and so did Dorian Finney-Smith. And so now you plug Luka back in there. Obviously, Luka's going to be Luka, but now those guys are still on. It's not like you have to try to find it. And like we always know, right, role players tend to do better at home. Now, of course, the Warriors will have home court advantage, but the Mavericks aren't a bad road team, and the Mavericks have beaten Golden State on the road this season.
comeback victory too.
I'm inclined to think it's Luka. I mean, obviously, if I have to be like, the Suns are the better team, but the Suns have just been on this downward decline the last couple of games, and it's possible that they get the job done in Game 7 because they're on the road. I mean, they're going to be at home in a closeout game, and I don't think we're going to get 4 straight bad games from Chris Paul. Like, I don't see that happening. So while I
It
do
depends
have
on
to,
who refs.
it
Sadly,
it does depend on who refs. If there's ever a time you don't want to see Scott Foster on the officiating sheet, if you're
Scott
a
Foster
Suns
got
fan or a
stick.
Suns player, it's it's for Game 7. I just really, and by the time this comes out, we'll have already known who the Warriors will be facing. I think if I'm the Warriors, given what I've seen out of the Suns, I so desperately want the Suns to win this game at home,
easily.
just because of the simple fact that I still don't trust Devin Booker on his hamstring. Like, Devin Booker, and yes, he played on the hamstring in the finals, but a hamstring is a hamstring. It didn't get you like that. And I think it's back. They haven't said anything, but I do think that the hamstring is back because he has just looked terrible. And he hasn't looked terrible. He hasn't looked his best, though. And the Mavericks aren't a great defensive team. So, like, for Chris Paul to be averaging less than 10 points into a foul out of a game, I think he's sitting at, in the last 4 games altogether, I think he has 31 points, 15 assists, or 17 turnovers and 15 fouls, something like that. This is not good Chris Paul basketball. When we just saw a couple weeks ago, he went 14 for 14 with 33 points, 8 assists in the closing game against New Orleans. So I'm a little bit nervous if I'm the Suns, but I definitely think the Mavericks pose a bigger threat right now because, playoffs are all about rhythm and who's hot. And the Mavericks are hot and they're clicking when it matters. They're really, really, really getting it together when it really matters.
Yeah, but I think, like you mentioned, the Mavericks are not a good defensive team.
Oh, no, they suck. They're not a good defensive team.
What I'm hoping is that this closeout game for the Warriors really opens their eyes on how they have to play. Because if they play Warrior basketball, there's no one standing in the way. They stand in the way of themselves, basically. The Mavericks are not going to be able to defend the Warriors at this point. Their best defender, obviously, Dorian Finney-Smith is fantastic. Both sides now. Jalen Brunson's not a good defender. He's a good defender, but he's not going to be a stopper. Luka is not a good defender. He's slow on his feet. Good post defender. Reminds you of James Harden, but
he's a good post defender. He's a good post defender. Yeah.
He's a crafty defender that can get a couple steals, so maybe that plays into their hand. But
yeah, he did have 4 steals in Game 6. So
yeah, like he can poke balls away. He's a good defender in that sense, but
he's not
he's not going to stay in front.
Defender. Yeah,
and I mean the Warriors, they're not one to attack a player because I don't know why they don't attack single players. They did tonight. They attacked Steven Adams quite a bit, which is great to see. But
yeah,
I think both teams are really good, but the Suns kind of spiraling down. I don't see them as much of a threat, and I could be eating my words next week when the Suns whoop us. But
it's possible.
All in all,
I think either way, it's going 7 because I think Luka and the Mavericks are gonna win those games at home. It's Luka just plays so he's wonderful.
Yeah.
And he plays superb at home. And the one thing that I think, and again, we're so quick to overreact because this is the first time that Luka's made it out of the first round. This could potentially be the first time he makes the Western Conference Finals. It's been because he's always been playing against the Clippers. And as great as Luka is, when you have 2 of the best 2A defenders in the NBA, you have to see on a 7-game basis. Yeah, you're not many people can get by that.
He was still
so I mean, and he was still able. I mean, playing that. I think that was last season. Playing with a pinched nerve in his neck. Not many people in the league like so. To come back in Game 4 in the first round and get the job done against the Jazz, who I think are the ultimate front runner, but still, that is still a series win. to go from that to potentially knocking off the first seed in the Western Conference, who also happen to have the best record in the league across both conferences, that's major.
Quite a
I think
resume.
either way, the series goes to 7, whether it's against the Mavericks or whether it's against the Suns. The one thing that I think again works in the favor of the Mavericks is because they play so well at home, right? They really only just need that one game. They just need that one game on the road. Whereas if it's the Suns, okay, the Suns will have the 4 games at home. Then the Warriors need that one game on the road, and the Suns were, if I'm not mistaken, the best team in basketball at home, if not one of the best teams. I know they're up there with the Heat. Like it was like either the Heat was 1 and the Suns were 2, the other way around. And even also with that, the Suns also won more road games this season than I think any other team won home games this season, which is also a crazy thing to say out loud because you only get 41 of each. So that's even insane in of itself. I just feel like because of the way that the series will go with, it'll be what will it be? It'll be 2 in Golden State and then 2 in Dallas and then 1-1-1. That works so much better in Dallas's favor because they just need to steal one of those games in the middle, and it would likely be the game 5 if they can get 3 and 4 at home, just like they did similarly in this series against the Suns. It's going to be a great series either way. I'm going to love watching Luka play. It's going to be fantastic. Now, let's go back to the Grizzlies for a second. Obviously, Ja misses time, and you've got Brandon Clark who ends up missing some time. And this is still a really, really, really young team who ended up finding themselves in the position to be the 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference or Western Conference. Obviously, the Clippers were the Clippers. They missed Kawhi didn't play the entire season, and Norman Powell missed some time, and so did PG. The Lakers were the Lakers, right? I'm pretty sure if Dame was there, the Portland Trailblazers would have been in the discussion somewhere. I mean, it would have been a tougher team to play this season. Do you see the Grizzlies not so much making back to the playoffs, because I'm sure they'll make it back to the playoffs next season? I don't think this is a one-off thing for a while. But do you see the Grizzlies being a top 4 seed in the playoffs next season, given what we saw from them this season?
Yeah, I think so. They have a lot of really good young pieces. Jaren Jackson, obviously we know Ja Morant, Dylan Brooks. I hate his, but Zaire Williams. I think he's going to be really good in the future. He looked really good, and I said that was a bad pick. He looked really good during the series. He made a couple tough shots, played good defense. Desmond Bane, that dude is a dog. Playing through
Absolutely
back injury, that's insane. And then going on to play 40-something minutes tonight, he's going to be really good. And I think he's going to be, like, people clowned him when he said, I think I'm just as good or, like, maybe like a step below Steph as a shooter. I could see it. Maybe not a step
I could see
below,
it.
but
Yeah.
he is a damn steady shooter. Steven Adams was a great pickup. I thought they were tripping for trading Valanciunas for him, but he's a great fit. Valanciunas, you don't need a scoring big. I think
Yeah.
the Warriors have kind of
Not
proved
with
that
this
for a long
offense.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't need a scoring big. You have so many shooters. Steve Adams, a great passer, good defender, great rebounder. That's all you need. They're going to be good for a long time. They're going to be a pain in the ass for a long time. And
Very much so.
as an NBA fan, I'm excited. But as a Warriors fan, I hate them. Especially Dylan Brooks.
I bet.
Especially Dylan Brooks. I hope he watches this.
Dylan, if you are watching this, come on the show, bro. Love to have
No,
you.
I hate you.
Just well, don't go on Spencer's show then. I don't support that. I don't approve that message. That's for
You
sure.
do approve that message.
I
This is
do
GOAT
not
Talk
approve that
with
message.
Marcus.
The message I do approve, though, is that we have some crazy things in the works in the coming months. September 1st, 2022 is going to be a fantastic date. You need to put a star, circle it, box it, set an alarm, set an alert, put it, I don't know, do something. But September 1st, 2022, it's a Thursday. It's a Thursday before the NFL season starts. You need to mark it on your calendars because it's going to be
Marcus
a great
is
day.
giving me my own show. And he's gonna quit podcasting. It's just me now. It's gonna be GOAT Talk with Spencer. Oh, my bad, bro. I didn't mean to spoil it like that.
Crazy. That's crazy. I don't know about that one, but what I do know though is that it's always a pleasure to have Spencer on the show. Um, as always, please tell everybody where to find you. And your annoying Warriors fandom content. Can't do it.
Follow us at follow me at Spencer F13 on Instagram. I think it's Spencer F30 on Twitter. Uh, Full Court Talk on Instagram and Twitter. Yeah, give us a follow. We do podcasts. I write stories about the NBA. Some good stuff. Uh,
Also,
Honestly,
he's lying
appreciate you,
to you.
Marcus, for having me back. Huh?
His name's not Spencer Fielding. His name is, according to according to Mean Dimes, his name is Spencer Fields. All right. Not
Oh yeah,
Spencer,
yeah. I'm Spencer Fields,
not Spencer Fielding.
and
His name
before
is
that,
Spencer
it was
Fields.
Stephen Fielding. So
That's such an easy name. I don't understand how you get
yeah,
Spencer Fielding wrong.
yeah. But that's who I am now. Sorry, forgot.
Spencer
Forgot
Fields,
my own name.
ladies and gentlemen, Spencer Fields. But in all seriousness, I enjoy having Spencer on the show. It's always a pleasure. We do have something incredible in store September 1st. So please be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys for watching. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow on all the socials below at GTP Marcus on everything. Please, please, please subscribe on YouTube so we can get to 100 subscribers by the end of the month. We just surpassed 150 episodes the other day. This is episode 151.
Oh,
We are fastly approaching also the 2-year anniversary of the creation of Go Talk with Marcus. It's been a long ride. We've got a lot of stuff done in the last 2 years. So please, 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 please. Make sure you guys are following and subscribing so you don't miss anything. We're going to be very busy this month. We're going to be very busy for the rest of the year, really, because it's like no break. Because as soon as the playoffs over, we've still got football to talk about. And just when the football series is over, which has already begun, the football season will begin. And that's going to be a crazy thing in and of itself. Not to mention, as I've been saying at least 4 times now, the big news to drop September 1st. It's a very important day. You need to make sure that you're paying attention on September 1st on your Googlers because they're going to be blowing. It's going to be crazy. So just make sure that you're following me and Spencer and some other people as well because you have to know what's going on September 1st because if you don't know what's going on September 1st, you're going to miss it. And I don't want you to miss the greatness that's going to occur on September 1st.
best day ever.
Again, it will be the best day ever. Make sure you are tuned in September 1st on my show, on Spencer's show, on Instagram, on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, all that. Use the Googlers because September 1st is going to be crazy. So for Spencer Fields, formerly Spencer Fielding, formerly Stefan Fielding of Full Court Talk, it's Marcus of GOAT Talk with Marcus signing off. Thank you guys for watching. It's 1:30 in the morning here on the Eastern Coast. I'm tired. As always, though, you guys enjoy the rest of your lives.